Alright, hey guys, Ferret here, back to bring you another video, and now, thank you all so much. I cannot believe the response I got on my Q&A question request video. I was expecting 2-3 questions tops and it was going to be a terrible video and blah 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 blah. It could still be a terrible video, but you guys came through and gave me like 30 something odd questions, and I'm going to do my best to run through them right now. This video might be a little long, so I might cut it into 2 bits, or I might just leave it as 1. So I just want to start and say thank you all so much. This has been a great year. I've had so much fun doing these videos. I just bought a new mic as well, and it's actually like a really nice quality mic. I've got to figure out how to edit my videos with it, so I'm gonna have some work to do, but I'm planning on doing some visual novels very soon. And I hope to use that mic for them so my visual novels don't sound so awful, because when you're doing visual novels, it's a lot of reading and you want it to actually sound good. So I've been planning visual novels. I wanted to do this. I just did my manga haul video. I've got some first takes I want to do. I have some different kind of videos I hope to bring you guys. So anyway, thank you so much, but let's go ahead and get into this video so I can go ahead and answer all your awesome questions. And some of them, I'm hoping to get all of you. If I missed your question, I'm sorry. Leave it again on this video and I can answer it, you know, in the comments. And some of them I just won't answer because I can't answer them. So anyways, go ahead and start and get into the video. So Vinard Lin says, great videos. Something I wanted to ask you was, what was the anime that got you into anime? So this is going to cover a few different questions, so I might end up repeating myself and skip, but we'll get there when we get there. But anyway, thank you for the question. And so, what's the anime that got me into the anime? I wish I had a cool answer for you, like some different kind of anime. It was Naruto. It was Naruto. It was on Cartoon Network. I'd never heard of, never watched anime in my entire life. I was probably in 6th or 7th grade in high school, if I had to guess, and I was up at camp one day and the TV was on and a Naruto marathon was running during the day. And the first part of the episode I ever saw was the Chunin exam. And it was Naruto against Kiba, and it was when Naruto farted in Kiba's face, and I'm like, well, this is dumb. But I wanted to see who won. And then I watched the next fight. And then I got to see Lee and Gaara, and it was the epicest thing my little young mind had ever seen, and I had to have more. So I started with Naruto, and that's where it bloomed from here. But we'll cover some more of that stuff as we go on. Let's see, so question from Will Shirayuki. I'm just going to go ahead and put out a limb. Said, how do you feel about fan service in anime and manga? Sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's overdone. Fan service in anime and manga, I feel, was something that was kind of put in certain series, but when the only thing that makes a series what it is fan service, then it can be over the top. And so I'm a guy. I like fan service in anime and manga sometimes. Like Hagani, there's a decent amount of fan service in it, but there's a decent amount of story. So I'm not a huge fan of just pure fan service, and sometimes it detracts from the series itself. So sometimes if all the series is meant to do is be a fan service anime, great. But if it's trying to implement some good story and then fan service, then you lose something there, in my opinion. So I have nothing against it, but I also think it's something that's being a bit overdone these days. So like High School of the Dead, could it have been a good series? It could have been really good, but I also couldn't watch it with some of maybe my non-anime friends, because anime people understand it. They're like, okay, it's fan service, it's anime, it happens, boobs, jiggling, whatever. I couldn't go to a friend of mine that never watched anime that likes zombies and say, hey, you should watch this, because it's not going to work. It's just not really going to work. So I have nothing against it, but I think it's something that is overdone a little bit these days. And then, I don't know how to say this. It's like, oh, I'm Taylor. 5549 asks, do you want to get married? Yeah, I guess at some point. I hadn't totally thought of it a lot, but I'm sure I'll get married at some point, maybe. I guess. They'll have to deal with this. So if they're okay with this, they'll probably be okay with it. But yeah, thanks for the question, Taylor. Thank you. Alright, so Cherry Gao, I think is how you say it, has asked a couple questions, and I might not answer. If you left me a bunch of questions, thank you, but I might not be able to answer all of them, but I'll answer some of them if I can. So what age did you start watching anime? Like I said, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. So probably, I'm guessing somewhere around like 11 or 12. If I had to guess, I might have been a little bit older than that. I might have been more like 13, 14. But somewhere in that like 10 to 14 range. And she also asked, what was your first manga series? Now, this is a bit of a tough one because I believe the first volume I ever bought of any manga was actually sitting right here, Naruto volume 27. So this is like a bit of a special volume to me. It's also the volume in which like the Naruto and Sasuke fight happens. I believe when I started watching Naruto on YouTube after I started watching on Toonami, and that's where it ended off. And so I went and bought that volume. But also, surprisingly enough, the first series I ever really started from the beginning that really got me into manga itself, I would classify as being Inubaka volumes 1 and 2. Actually, let me grab those real quick. Okay, they're actually in a box somewhere, so I can't actually grab them for you. But anyway, Inubaka is a series about dogs and this girl. Sadly, Viz ended up canceling the series, I think 5 volumes before the finish. So that's always been something that's just killed me inside because it was the first series I ever started from the beginning and the first real manga I ever started. So that Inubaka holds a special place in my heart because it really is like the first thing that got me started. My comments reset. No. I had them on my computer, but my computer's closed. Manga Volt asks, why did you choose Fatal Ferret as your YouTube username? It's a funny story. I'll try to keep it short. My old Minecraft username used to be Fatal Ferret, and I hated it after a while. It was Ferrets USA, and I just didn't like it at all. But I liked, because I had like an obsession with ferrets as a kid. I always wanted one as a pet, and so Ferret started to work its way into a lot of my stuff. But I wanted to change it from Ferrets USA, so I actually ended up changing it, and me and my friend brainstormed. We had like fearsome ferret and ferocious and like all these different things that involved ferret face and just all these things, but I ended up settling with Fatal Ferret, and it became my Minecraft username, and then it really became my gamer tag altogether, pretty much. So that's where Fatal Ferret comes from. They also ask, do you have any particular way of sorting your manga on your shelves? But right now, it's sorted mostly by company. So I have company, and then inside the company, it's pretty much just random. I started doing alphabetical, but I got switched up. So basically, like here it isn't really separated out, but like on my big shelf, it's separated out. So I have all my Impress, all my Viz, all my 7Cs, kind of like that. Alright. Makala Goshland asks, how long have you been into anime as well as collecting it? I sort of answered that already. Sorry, like I said, we're gonna kind of go doubling up here. But anyway, like I said, I started probably like 7th grade when I really started collecting, and it's probably been, I don't know, like 10 years now, I guess, something like that. 8-10 years, somewhere in that vicinity. Alright, so Fairy Simi asks your favorite anime / manga and your most hated anime and manga. That's a really tough one, I'm not gonna lie. As far as anime goes, for whatever reason, one of my favorite series has always been Toradora. I love Toradora. I've watched it several times. The dub and the sub are both very well done. And another one I'll throw in there is Code Geass. Code Geass is such a brilliant series in my opinion. I just can never get over how awesome I think Code Geass is. And as far as manga goes, I'll probably have to do a whole separate video on that, like a top 10, because that's a loaded question. Like, I can look around and go, I love them all so much, but Fairy Tail is one I've been loving right now. It's kind of a generic answer, and I'm sure I could come up with something else, but I'll just give you that bone for now because oh boy, the loaded question. But thank you for asking. Let's see. So what inspired you, Harry Lawson asked, what inspired you to do anime, manga, and visual novel videos? I'll get into more of this in a minute because I know there are more questions to address this, but me and my friend started doing YouTube a few years back in gaming, and we had trouble keeping up with it. It takes a lot more work than obviously we and a lot of other people realized. So we started doing that, and then I started like watching other people do videos on anime and manga after we stopped our gaming channel. And I already had this channel, and you might even see if you go back, my very first video ever is actually a Minecraft video. I never deleted it because why not? And so I was like, boy, it would be really cool. I'm not expecting it to ever go anywhere, but if I could do like manga videos and maybe play some visual novels, because I still wanted to play games. Because when I first started, I planned on playing visual novels because I still had gaming on my mind. But after I started, I'm like, I could do some cool manga videos and stuff like that, and it just kind of bloomed into I had people that liked it, and then I had more ideas, and here we are. And again, thanks. I can't thank you all enough. So thank you for that question. Alright, here's a bunch of questions from No8 named 8 Shadow. So let's see. I'm gonna pick one from here because you have a bunch of great questions, but I'm gonna go ahead and just pick one from here. So favorite arcs. So favorite arcs in a manga series or anime probably works, but let me think. I must say, Fairy Tail has been doing a fabulous job lately on resurrecting the series. The Tartarus arc was great, and I'm so loving the arc afterwards. I don't know what this arc is called, but I won't like spoil it for people who haven't. Obviously the arc that starts with Lucy and Natsu has been one I've really been enjoying, and other than that, I can't really think of off the top of my head an arc that like jumps out at me. But yeah, thank you for your questions, and I'll see if I can, like, again, he also asked top 5 or 10 manga I own, and that's probably something that I have to do a whole video on. So just wait for that sometime. Hopefully I'll get to that. But thank you so much for all the great questions. So Trevor asked, what is your favorite genre of anime or manga? I love them all. I don't know if I really have a favorite. Obviously, I love shonen manga. There's just a great charm to them. But every once in a while, I like a real good shoujo. Every once in a while, I like just like a rom-com. I definitely don't have a favorite because I love switching it up. If I just read just one, I'd probably get bored. But there's so many different genres that are just so good, and they just complement each other so much. Like sci-fi isn't one I read very often. Definitely not my favorite, but just like fantasy, I love fantasy, so that's probably like maybe a genre that I could say that is maybe one of my favorites. But yeah, thank you for the question, but definitely I read a lot of them, and I like them all a lot. So here's a really good question from Ryoko, so look out. It says, is collecting anime and manga an expensive endeavor for you? And also, how do you go about regulating how much you should spend on it? I'd like to know, since I currently collect anime and manga, but want to expand my collection, and I'd like to know how you do it. So this is like one of my favorite questions. Thank you so much for this question. Yes, I do regulate how much I spend. So firstly, you have to decide what you can do, and like, mostly, I kind of go through phases. I get a lot of manga these days. I don't buy much anime anymore. And what anime I do buy, I have to really decide what I want. And another difficult thing about it is you have to like be able to say, I'm not going to get this now, but maybe I'll put this on a wish list and pay attention to it. So I have the store, I'm very lucky with it's a local store I buy a lot of my stuff off of. And they get all of my books 35% off. Because that's just their policy. And all books and stuff are 35% off, which is great. So sometimes when I see a site, some sites will be like up to 33% off sale. I can be like, that's great, but big deal to me because I'm lucky enough to have a local store that I can order all my manga from that has 35% off. And so when I see things like buy 3 get 4 free, that's actually not a big deal to me, because you always should crunch the numbers and see what works best from all the stores. Like, don't be afraid to look around the stores and really figure out what's best when. And so for some of you, like a store like Right Stuff has a sale on manga, you know, you might not be able to get all the manga you want at once, but, you know, make a list of manga you want to get and be patient and wait for a sale. Or it's very important, if you're planning to collect a bunch of manga, to really be able to say, I'm going to wait. Like let's say you're into like September, October, and there's some manga you want to stock up on. You're not that far from Christmas, and there's always some big Christmas sales. So it's always that kind of rotating, knowing what you can do, knowing how much you can afford, and just, you know, knowing what you want the most, and just being patient and really doing your research. You know, what sites have sales, what sites have the best. Don't be afraid to be patient. You know, don't be afraid to be patient, like I said, and, you know, not have to get it now, but maybe there will be a sale, and maybe you can find it cheaper somewhere else. So that's kind of my my thing on that. Like, I know I get anime and figures and manga. I get mostly manga. Obviously, manga is cheaper than anime, but it's expensive for me. Like, she asked, like, is it expensive for you? Yes. I'm not like some rich kid millionaire. I work like all week, and I take a little portion of that and spend it on manga. So I do what I can. You know, I can't get all the anime I want, especially there's more anime I'd like to get, especially. But I can't get all the anime I want. Sometimes, instead of getting 2 or 3 separate anime seasons, I end up getting just one collector's edition. So it's kind of that balance of knowing what you want and how you want to do it. So thank you so much for that question. That was a really good question.